All right, guys, so I explained to you what it was like on my father's side of the family, and now I'm just going to be a little bit more like cheerful, but there is a little bit of intrigue here as well because not everything goes as it should, unfortunately, in our lives. So let's talk about my mother's side of the family. So we have, of course, my grandpa and my grandma, so Zio Turi, and my grandma was, and I already mentioned her name, Italia Kreiner, and so Italy, but her last name was, I think, of Austrian origin. Anyway, my mom will be able to let you guys know if that was completely off base. Anyway, both of them were really talented in their own ways. I'm gonna start with my grandfather. He was also in the military, but unlike my other grandfather, he didn't actually fight in the war. He was a medic, so he was a specialist for your lungs. And so, as a doctor, luckily he was kind of out of harm's way. He obviously lived through many tragedies, but luckily did not suffer from the same kind of PTSD effects that possibly my other grandfather did. So he was always a very happy, cheerful guy, very tall. I remember that I always felt like he was one of the tallest people in the family. And he had this fascination, maybe he learned that when he was in the military, for building and repairing things, and that's probably where I got it from as well. My dad was also pretty good with the electrician stuff, but my grandfather was always walking around with a pair of tools in his hand, changing light bulbs, fixing whatever it was in the house. So he was Mr. Fix-It, and that kind of inspired me to be looking into all that kind of stuff. Again, he was also a doctor, so he loved discussing, and he helped me with a lot of my biology homework as I was getting older. Remember, he taught me about bones and all that fun stuff. So he was really helpful in his way, and he was very calm. He was like really, really calm. Like I could have been as much of a rascal as I wanted to. He would let me mess up his hair. We would sit. We didn't really watch as much television as I would with other grandparents, but he would love to play music on his little, well, it wasn't little, it was like a really big boom box back then, like with the cassette tapes. And so we would sit there and we would listen to music, all kinds of stuff, but some of Italian stuff too, because we were in Italy. And then, just talk about this and that and the other, and it was just a pleasure to be around this guy. And then there was my grandma, and my grandma, oh my goodness, she was one of the most fabulous cooks that you could possibly imagine. She was one of the most amazing hosts that you could possibly imagine. And so we would gather at her place for Christmases as well, and we'd have the whole family, and it was fantastic. And I was spoiled to bits by my uncles and aunts and cousins, and it was just an amazing time. As a kid growing up, when you have that kind of family that's around you, it's really fun, like opening packages, but just hanging out with them and listening to their conversations and all that. So it was really fun. I came from a pretty big family, so we had. There was my mom, obviously, and then her sister, and then, of course, my uncle, and we had my cousin. And I had two cousins, a boy and a girl. There was Betta and Massimiliano, and they were a blast, really fun to hang out with too. And my cousin Betta was the one that helped me a lot with learning how to swim on my back. She was like really, really easy to hang out with too. So I had a really, really nice, easygoing family growing up. I felt very, very loved when we went to Sicily. but that's not where we lived all the time. So that would be like the really fun, the fun times. The fun times is like Christmas and stuff, when we take a plane from, I think it was Switzerland most of the time, and we'd go over there to hang out with family over there. Anyway, that's a short story there about my grandparents and my cousins from my mother's side. So most of there, you're thinking, well, that's all positive. What's going on? Well, unfortunately, my aunt, which was one of the most amazing people that you will ever meet, like just like an angel pretty much. She was really kind and loving and caring and all that. Unfortunately, she suffered from cancer, and unfortunately her life came to a very, very early end, which was extremely sad for all of us in the family, and especially, of course, my uncle, because of course, he was married to her, and he probably thought that they were going to be together for forever. So of course, again, as I said, with every great exciting moment, there will always be a downside, and so there it was. The effects that it had on our family was pretty dire. We probably felt it a little bit less because we were not always in Sicily, but everyone who lived in Sicily unfortunately suffered, especially my uncle. I always called my uncle my big friendly giant, and the reason for that was that he always had a joke. He worked with kids at school, and he was just really, really fun to hang out with. He was really tall, strong. He would lift me up all the time and throw me around and play jokes. So yeah, have fond memories of him too. And anyway, had many fond memories of the past when we were in Sicily. And I think I forgot to mention in the previous video, because I just kind of like went through everything so fast. So I probably will have to do another video that may be a little bit less dark than the first video that I did on the other side of the family, because there were so many good things there too, and it just got caught up in the moments and the personal and this and that and the other. So often this will happen when I tell stories. I will blank out and forget some of the very, very beautiful details that were in there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Take care, guys.